Shooting properly exposed outdoor interviews is one of the hardest things to do as a filmmaker, in my opinion. It requires a lot of technique, sometimes equipment, and you just have to know how to fight against and work with the sun. In today's video, it's going to be a little bit different than normal. We're going to go behind the scenes on a shoot that we did this previous summer. It's going to be a little bit more raw and authentic than usual. We didn't have a whole lot of time to film, but hopefully there's a couple takeaways that you can learn for how to properly light an outdoor interview. Then also I'm going to talk a little bit about the Atomos Sumo in outdoor conditions. This was the first shoot that we used for the Sumo outside, and so I'm going to share kind of my thoughts and how it held up in an outdoor setting with direct sunlight. So without further ado, enjoy the video. It's a lot of sandbags.
How you get a hernia on the job right there. Woo! Let's go.
Today we're going to be doing a little BTS of a outdoor interview shoot and some B-roll. We're shooting at a food truck. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be using the Sumo for the first time outdoors with a sun hood. So kind of going to be showing you that, how it performs in outdoor lighting conditions. And then also we're going to be using a half grid over the interview subject to light that and diffuse some sun. So let's get into it. So for the interview portion of this video, we were obviously shooting outside in direct sunlight at basically high noon, which is essentially the worst time that you can be filming outside. To diffuse the sunlight, we used a 8x8 half silent grid material in an 8x8 frame. And then we attached that onto two combo stands with sandbags all over the place. It was a little bit windy. Typically when you're shooting outside, no matter what, you're gonna realize that wind is always gonna come into play when you're working with a large frame, because essentially it is a sail.
Ahoy, mate! Walk the plank!
And so it's gonna catch in any type of wind, no matter how light that wind is. So there was definitely some wind in play. The sandbags overall really held it down, and then combo stands are obviously pretty heavy, so there's added weight there. But anything larger than an 8x8, you're definitely gonna want people standing by on both sides at least of the frame and on the stands to make sure that it doesn't fly away and turn into a missile. I've talked about this in other videos, but when you're shooting any type of interview, whether it's indoors or outdoors, you want to expose for the sunlight first, because that's effectively the thing that you cannot control. So what we did in this situation, we nailed down the proper exposure for what the background is, because obviously we're not going to be able to turn down the intensity of the sun in the background. So we were able to basically throw in enough ND where the background is properly exposed. And from there, we worked backwards to have enough diffusion in there where the subject is properly exposed, smooth skin tones, and overall not hard light or overexposed, underexposed. So ultimately, what we came to is that half grid material, which was letting in enough light, but also giving enough diffusion to create that nice soft looking image. So the Sumo SE is a monitor that we've been using for the better half of this last year. We've used it on all kinds of different productions, inside and outside, in direct sunlight, in really dark environments. And overall, it's held up really, really nicely. Like I said in the beginning of this video, this was the first shoot that we used the Sumo where there is direct, hard sunlight. Not to mention, it was also like 95 degrees out, and so there was a heat element involved there as well. Overall, the Sumo held up really, really nice. Having a big production monitor, especially when there's a client there, is super, super nice, because it's kind of just a way to get a client away from the sort of direct production environment, but still have them be involved and able to see what the images are looking like and also what things are sounding like, because there are speakers and headphone inputs on the Sumo. And I'll actually link the Sumo video that we did above that you guys can check out. But the one thing that I would recommend is to have the sun hood on the Sumo, especially when you're working outside. That is really, really helpful for blocking out direct sunlight and just having a more clear image on the screen. I think without the sun hood, it would have been a lot more difficult to see what was going on, but luckily we had it, and so it really saved the day. Overall, highly recommend the Sumo. There are a lot of questions that I've been getting about color accuracy and other things like that, and certain tints on the Sumo from the last Sumo video. We haven't really experienced any of that stuff. It sounds like some people maybe have, but overall, color accuracy and everything else on the Sumo, been very, very satisfied and impressed with. And having those other accessories with the Sumo that I talked about in the other video are super helpful, like the V-mount backing, the sun hood, the monitor stand mount. Some of those other things just make the whole experience of using a Sumo that much easier.
Yeah. And like I try to be conscious about that, but
Can I get a
Gonna get a whole year in hobbycraft.
V-mount on standby?
sometimes I'm really good at it.
So a couple years ago, I started having pain, and the pain kept consistent, but I could deal with it. And then it just kept getting worse and worse. So having the hip replacement just brings it back to what I get to do, what I want to do. And without pain, it's amazing. My name is Yolanda, and I own the Saucy Senorita food truck.
All right, guys, so that kind of covers it. It's been a fun shoot, but a hot one. It's about 90-some degrees right now. So yeah, one of the things you have to consider when you're doing outdoor shoots in the summertime and you're in a hot climate, you gotta have shade for people, especially talent and client and really as many people as possible, because when people are hot and sweating and just not a good time. So have shade. That's the tip of the day. Have shade on outdoor shoots. But yeah, that kind of covers it. Hope you guys found it helpful. Hope you enjoyed. Until next time, bye.
Where's the other sandbags? Need more. Come on. Whoops. Welcome to Tips and Tricks with Sam here. So this is an 8x8 silent half grid cloth. The way you can tell it's a silent half grid cloth is if you just see it's silent. Anything else here, and that's how you tell. So